You guys, welcome to episode 1. This is not just another podcast. There's a reason for it. And a lot of that reason is who I'm joined by, which is my dearest friend, Heather. And I'm going to dive straight into why we think we need yet another podcast and what got us here. And Heather's going to jump in soon too and talk about our friendship and what's so important to us. But I want to share just briefly for episode 1 why we finally found a topic we were truly, genuinely inspired to podcast about, even if it was just Heather and I talking to each other, right? Because this means so much to us. And I want to say this, and it's going to mean more as I explain it, but it all started with hello. And it's really as simple as that. I was walking my beautiful dog, Bear, and I got a lot to thank him for this because having a dog really helps you build friendships and community in a way I didn't realize is what was one of the wonderful things that came with the dog. But back to the hello. I was walking the dog and I was near our little local coffee kiosk, which is on my lovely walk. And I noticed a bunch of people sitting there, but I didn't think too much of it. And this lady did stand out, this beautiful woman. And all of a sudden she calls out to me and she says, "Hey, I love your boots. Where are they from?" And I knew in that instant, this was someone I wanted to know. She was my kind of gal. And that gal is gay and she's in her 70s. And that was about 10, 12 months ago. And that day was a few weeks before I headed to Europe to visit my dad. And what I was bummed about is I wasn't going to be able to see her for a while. But when I came back, we since then have developed this incredible friendship. But not only that, she's given me so much more than that. She's given me a community because what I didn't know that day is all those people meet nearly every day for coffee before they start their day. And it's all different ages, right up to people in their 80s. I've been to 80th birthday parties since then, which has just been the best time. Some of these friends have come to my birthday. These are people I didn't know 10, 12 months ago who have completely shaped and changed my life. But what they really do is bring joy to just about every day because I'll walk the dog and most mornings I'll go meet them for coffee. And it just, if I'm feeling tired and I've got a busy work day ahead, I can't tell you what laughing with them and sharing anecdotes and learning from them and also teaching them things, not just how to use their phone, but of course that happens, as you can well imagine. But, I got the privilege 2 weeks ago of taking 8 of these wonderful community members out to a champagne bar in the city. We live in Sydney. And they were so excited. And one of the ladies is 80. And it's very hard for her to go on an excursion like that because she has walking sticks but she's got such a zest for life. And just that someone thought of her to think of an excursion she could get to and that made sure she got there and home. And the joy in her eyes. I sat at that champagne afternoon and I could have done it with my girlfriends. I have and I will. But sitting there looking around at these beautiful smiling faces and thinking, this is a community for me. These are people that I never imagined I'd know in an age group, different decades, older than me. I'm getting to that stage where it's unusual for me to be the youngest one in the room. And I'm not going to lie, I love it. But to sit there and look at this lady's face and everyone else and all of us interacting and think, I got to do this with these people. And 10 months ago, I didn't even know they existed and what they've done for me. And through this period of the last year, and Heather's going to touch on this, I just keep seeing the value and power of community and cross-generational friendship and just nurturing your friendships in general, being more intentional about all of this. I've had friends mention to me that community and friendship these days, as I'm in my 50s, and a lot of my friends are too, just how that's everything. My son, who's 25, just randomly said to me last week, "I'm going out." I said, "Oh, where are you going?" Because I always ask a million too many questions. Even if I've only asked one for that day, that's just one too many. But he said, "Oh, every Friday, the last Friday of every month, me and the boys, we meet and whoever can come comes, but we try to make sure we do that." And I just did not expect that from him. And I couldn't ignore that I'm just seeing this power of being intentional about the community around you, whether that's friends or it's an extension of your friends, like my coffee club, and that there are so many ways to do this, no matter who you are or what age you are. And it's not about age. And it's just the power of what, like the richness that this brings to your life. And before I hand over to Heather, who brings a lot of richness to my life, I want to share why this has impacted me so much, because it's a text message I got from Gay, the one who asked me about my boots, who now owns the same boots, because that's what happens when people come shopping with me. But Heather can tell you more about that another day. But Gay's come to be someone I just loved and to cherish. It's like I've known her forever. And she sent me an Instagram reel last week, and thank God she feels the same, because this is what she sent me. I want to read it to you because maybe this will put it better than I can as to why this is the podcast we've landed on. To the friend who came later but means everything. She didn't grow up with you, but the moment she entered your life, it felt like she'd always been there. No long history, no childhood memories, just an instant, effortless bond. She's the one you trust without overthinking, who never drains your energy, and who becomes your safe place without even trying. Now, life without her, unimaginable, because some friendships aren't about how long you've known each other. They're about how deeply you feel seen and understood. So guys, can you imagine getting that from someone and that you've made them feel that way and you feel the same way back? And it's just because you decided to say hello to someone. So I want you to say hello to Heather.
Oh, so the work community, as you may have gathered, is the theme or the backbone of this incredible podcast that we are starting. And I want to tell you how I met Elli and our friendship, when and how that started, because it literally is due to the strength of a tribe of people who all come together. So I moved to Sydney, Australia from California over 20 years ago. And gosh, I want to work that out actually, 23 years ago, almost. Yes, almost 23 years ago. And I came here, and I would never have been able to stay or even have met Elli had it not been for my community. So I worked for a guy named Tony Robbins at that time, and I ran events for him. Yes, the big, tall, motivational, inspirational speaker. That's the guy.
Yeah, the guy who I walked across hot coals
Yeah,
for.
that one.
Yeah, that one.
So basically, I moved to Sydney, and a series of events happened because of this community. And now, guys, obviously, yeah, that was my day job. We all we work. Most of us work these days, and you might just have a 9 to 5 where you go and you check out. But the Tony community is very broad and very magical. So I came to Australia. I stayed on the couch of somebody who was in my community, the Tony Robbins graduates. I stayed on her couch, and then she introduced me to a guy who then said, "Oh, hey, Heather, there's this Tony Robbins community event coming up, all these grads. You should come because you just moved to Sydney and you should, you'll know these people." I'm like, excellent. So I went, and there she was sitting. I believe you were right behind me. I can picture it now, Elli.
So
We're
cute.
sitting, we're sitting on this wooden, like, I don't even know, like a bench. And you were behind me. And I met Elli because of this woman. I stayed on her couch because she introduced me to this guy who then brought me along to this event. And because of that, the same guy who's from this community introduced me to another guy who was getting his, I guess, diploma. He's graduating from a life coaching training college. And he's like, "Oh, you should just go along. That's another guy in the Tony Robbins community." I'm like, "Okay, cool." So I went along, and I then met the founders of the coaching college, and I connected with them. And because of that connection, I got a visa to stay in Australia because I started working for them. So community is everything. And when Elli approached me, she said, "I have this idea for a podcast." And I want her to tell you, because I think this is actually where the idea came, like this specific moment in time.
Yeah.
What was the moment?
So it's funny, right? Because it's not going to be what you think. It's not
Yeah.
like, I was on an ethereal quest and someone spoke to me in my dreams, but that happens too. But where I met Gay, this coffee club that meets nearly every morning, and you just turn up if you want to. And so I don't go every day, but I know Gay literally, I have to tell you, just FYI, I think for 15, 20 years, she's gone 6 days a week and she
Amazing.
drives here. Like, that's how much it means to her, and through some pretty ups and downs of life. And she's going to tell you how this club has potentially saved lives. So
Yeah.
I think I don't want you to, like, I want to impress upon you how deep this goes, what this kind of thing can do for you. But to answer Heather's thing, the fun light side of it is they meet Monday to Friday. You turn up whenever you want, sort of before the workday starts. Whether you work or not, it doesn't matter. It's just how it works. Some people go on to head to work. Some people go off to take their kids to school. But on Saturdays, it's a little bit more formal. And I never thought I'd find myself here, but on Saturday mornings, we meet at 8:30 a.m. and we do the quiz in the local Sydney newspaper that comes out every morning. And there's 25 questions. And there's usually a good 10 of us that sit there with our coffee. And we've got a quiz master who keeps us in line. And we each get given a question. It goes around in the circle. And it doesn't matter whether you know the answer or not. It's funny getting to the answer. If you don't know, everyone else jumps in. We tease each other. You know, I've got people there that are 20 years older than me, and we have banter. And I rang Heather one day and I said, you've got to come to quiz, because I cannot explain what it's like to sit there and look around and go, this is every Saturday. This is my life. And this is amazing. And it's free. And it's so nothing. And it's so everything. And Heather has come to quiz, because I said, to put it into words would be not to explain it and give it justice. And to think that Gay's been doing that for near on 20 years and what that's done for her through things I'll let her tell you about.
Yeah.
You know,
amazing.
as someone in her 70s with, 4 kids and multiple marriages and multiple businesses and careers. But you came, what did you think?
Magic. Absolutely magic. And like my little soul was craving more and more connection. You'll learn about what we do for work and all that stuff soon.
Yeah.
But yeah, I was really craving connection. And then I remember you and I were talking like, oh, we should do this show on community and cross-generational friendships.
Yeah.
And so the seed was well and truly planted, Ellie. And then I took the seed and I traveled to WA, Western Australia. It's end of last year. So I'm traveling. I was there for a speaking gig, and I ended up traveling south to the southernmost tip on the west side of the country, very remote, called Albany. Very beautiful. And I caught up with a girlfriend named Nilla, who, by the way, is 20 years my senior as well. And we've had a friendship for a long time. She runs this thing called Nilla's Cooking School. Nilla's Italian Cooking School. Unbelievable, you guys. So she's like an Italian nana, a nana.
Nonna. It's Nonna.
That's how you say it.
I'm not sure. I don't know.
It's how you,
If it's Italian,
forgive me, Nilla. So anyway, I'm there in her
Nonna Nilla.
Nilla. I'm there in her house, and she's like, "Come down, and I'm going to do a cooking school because I haven't seen you in 20 years, and we're going to do cooking school." So I come in. There's a group of primarily women, but there were about 12 of us. So there, just to paint the picture, there's a woman in her 80s, and her background was an asparagus farmer. So totally random, fascinating. And then there was everything in between. And then there was a 24-year-old that showed up, and she works for an organization called Headspace, which is a phenomenal organization that basically helps to improve the health and well-being of 12 to 25-year-olds, so youth. And she's there. And I was filming some social media content for Nilla to promote her school. And so this girl knew that I was there kind of as Nilla's friend. And she approaches me towards the end, and she has tears in her eyes. And she says to me, "This has been a really profound moment for me. I've never experienced a moment where there are women of all ages, all backgrounds, sharing openly wisdom and kindness with each other." And she said, "It's changed my life." And she was crying to me. And I remember hearing Ellie's little words planted the seed. "Hey, Heather, we should do a show about community and kindness and cross-generational connections." And I'd already been to the quiz. And I'm like, all right. And it's sinking in.
Because that was just a 4-hour event where this girl was touched
profoundly, like in her soul.
Because you don't know what you can get from people that you wouldn't normally mix with. I mean, it's not just about strangers, it's about nurturing your friendships into an intentional community, but
Absolutely.
it's growing that a little bit more as well.
And I saw,
Yeah.
like, God, Ellie, it was so important for everyone. And the woman in her 80s as well. It was such a moment, such a moment. And then one other thing that really, like, just only happened a couple weeks ago, which is like, okay, we're doing this show.
Mm.
So I was in New Zealand and I'm a trainer for Meta, like Facebook, right? And so I teach
Yeah.
your stuff.
And there's how many
Three of us in Australia.
Yeah.
Ballpark, three of
Yeah,
us these
yeah.
days.
Just saying.
Just saying. So I'm
Heather's
there.
pretty special. I'm sorry. She won't say that. I will.
Thank you. Anyway, I'm hanging out with this incredible table of people. I'm talking pretty incredible. We're there with our partner. We're doing like a pre-event meeting for the trainings we're going to do coming up. And the one community that was there is called Fariki. And Fariki Maori Business Network is a social franchise essentially designed to support and uplift Maori business owners and professionals by creating moments of connection and celebration. That's their words, not mine, but that's what they do. They bring together a community, specifically business owners, and they partnered with Meta to come out. So we're hanging out with them, and I'm already feeling this incredible sense of being part of something so much bigger. It's not like the normal speaking gig. You turn up to Ellie and it's like, oh yeah, I'm here for a day.
Yeah, so not a corporate skeeking.
Skiking gig.
No,
Yeah, no,
definitely not a
skiking
skiking
gig.
Yeah, I see how. I get that now.
You know, it's not one of those. But I'm just hanging out, and then I'm start to talk about community, and this guy across the table who works for Meta, he's the government politics and advocacy partner manager. So essentially, he works with government officials in Australia. That's a mouthful. I wrote that down so I could also remember that. But he's across the table from me, and I'm like saying, hey, I'm thinking about doing this podcast. And I'm talking about gay, and I'm talking about the quiz group, and I'm talking about Nila's Italian Kitchen. And he's like, so tell me more. I'm like, it's going to be about supporting community and helping inspire people to be parts of community and also create their own, no matter background, age, etc. And he like literally jumps out of his skin at me across the table, and he's like, Heather, you have to do this. You have to do this. And I'm like, what? He goes, you have no idea. Everything I'm doing with Meta and the government is all around the desperation of people to find their community. We're lonely. We're in a loneliness epidemic and anxiety, and it is everywhere. People trying to connect. He's like, you must do it. So guys, that's what we're doing.
Okay, so our intention is to have conversations that are about the richness that comes with time, the freedom that comes with knowing yourself a whole lot better, and the joy that shows up when you choose to nurture the life that you're in, and you choose to nurture and prioritize friendships of all ages, and really to see the incredible value of community, which, as we have been sharing, is what inspired us in the first place to bring this show to you. And mostly, we really want to challenge the idea that life somehow gets smaller as we age, because honestly, we think the opposite is true. Just today, after my lovely coffee group wrapped up this morning, we were walking and reflecting on how maybe, yes, we are, or not maybe, we are all over 50, but we still think and feel with a young heart. We can be cheeky, we're vibrant, we're cool in our own unique, sometimes, yes, very cheesy ways, but that's what makes us cool. And I've come to realize that, as cheesy as this sounds, the prime of life is every day you choose it to be. With a lot of curiosity and heart, we'll talk about the joy, the mess, the reinvention, and that quiet confidence that comes with lived experience. Because life after 50 is not an ending. It's a chapter that isn't smaller, it's deeper, and it can be really, really good.
So in these episodes with you guys, yes, you're going to hear a lot more from Ellie and I and our fun little banters and life experiences together, but we also have a few segments we're going to bring your way. So one of them is The Cool Kids Explain. So basically what we're doing is we're going to get a younger person to teach us something about that particular episode's topic. We have another one, Good to Know. And that one, we're going to reach out to experts in their space. So whether that's academics, business owners, just people with a lot of life experience in that particular topic, we'll bring them in and they'll teach you a few things. And then lastly, we have a word from the wise. Now, you have heard about Gay already, and she's going to be our resident expert who's basically going to be coming in and sharing all sorts of words of wisdom. But not just her, she'll bring in some of her community and her friends as well. So that's going to be how the show's structured starting soon. And I think what we should do, else, is just wrap up with the new intro, which you guys will be hearing really, really soon. So we might as well share it with you now. Look, we're not here to sell you a transformation. We're here to share some truths because this stage of life can sneak up on you in the best possible way.
There's a new quiet swagger that comes with it, one you earn simply by being you. We'll walk with you. You don't have to be anywhere else. Turns out it's good here. And sometimes it's even great.